have the movement in your joints to be able to either handle the weight that you're doing or even ramp yourself up as time goes on. So most importantly, it's a mix of getting stronger, but also being a little bit more flexible. So I'm going to start with a moving lunge stretch, which is going to open up your hips and also your upper body. So you're going to drop yourself back into a lunge, stand and balance for a second, and then push that arm up and away from your shoulder blade and your waist, and push that leg back on the same side. Go down into it, touch the floor, stretch, and stand, balance for a second. So you work on the initial flexibility of your upper body and your hip. So you're really trying to pull your upper and your lower away from the midpoint, which is, everybody talks about their core. Your core is not just your abs, it's your legs, your trunk, and your midsection. Let's do 2 more of those. Full stretch up and away. And don't contort your body when you get down there. Just stay upright and push that arm up and stretch it away from it. That's good. Do the same thing on the other side. Push that leg back. First few are going to feel a little bit tight. You'll loosen up a little bit as you go along, and even into the movements that we'll do. Push away, stretch back, and get that arm up. Leg back, arm up, and come forward. Stretch it, get that arm to come up, and come through. And last 2 of those. And you want to shoot for about 10 of those on each side. You don't want to go too far into repetitions because you want to save your legs a little bit for the movements you're going to do. So if you have some resistance, whether it's dumbbells or some type of, I think I said from the beginning, a backpack loaded with something, or even a band that you can attach between your legs and pull from the bottom part forward. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do. So this is going to be a standard wider leg squat. So your feet are just a little bit wider than your hips. Dumbbells are going to hang here. And it's kind of like the concept of what a kettlebell would be, which is a swing motion. So you're going to sit and make sure that when you're sitting, you squat back. Okay? You're always sitting with your hips back and your shoulders stay here. You're leaned forward a little bit, but you're not slumped. You're holding the weight here with your shoulder blades, and you're pushing the weight up with your hips. So there's going to be a little bit of a swing to it. Nice and controlled. Watch the swing. Make sure the dumbbells don't fly out of your hands. Sit back into it, and then pop yourself through with your hips. So I'm still pulling my shoulder blades back, and I'm drawing in from my stomach as well, as my hips are pushing forward every time those dumbbells come down. And 5. Control. 1. And that's good. Swing motion will allow or make your control out of control, if you want to say that. So you have to be the one that manages where that weight goes and make sure that you're using all of the muscles in your body. That's a full body movement. Any type of squat, and obviously adding a swing to it, is a full body movement. So push up. Standard push up is a straight body. No lag down and no hike up. It's a flat position. Now, if you want to start on your knees and work up to that, your hands will be a little bit further out in front, but you're still here. It's a 90-degree drop, meaning squared off from your arms. Not here, and not in close where your wrist can start to feel some tension. It's opened up to 90 degrees. So if I'm on my knees, my hands are in front of me a little bit, I'm leaning forward and then down. Between my hands and a straight push. Never forgetting about the idea of your core. Abdominals draw in as soon as they get to here and tense like you're doing a crunch on the way out. Control it, crunch, and push. Tensions across here should feel the support coming from here. So now I'm going to take it up straight. Slow. Control your weight going down because this is your body weight. Quick push. Abs tight when you get to the bottom. Control it. Quick push. Control it. Drive out of it. You should be feeling like you're doing a crunch every time you get towards the floor. That's the support side of it. The exercise part of it, the main part, you want to feel your chest push you up away from the floor. Last two. And that's good. Sit back into your heels and stretch that opposite arm across your body and sit back. This is a little bit of an added stretch too, especially at the beginning when it's the first time you're doing a movement. You want to open your joint up. So I was saying before that the main part of the movement for a push-up, you should be feeling it through your chest. What happens, a lot of people will say, I feel it in my shoulders, my elbow, my wrist. And that's a classic example of somebody that needs an adjustment. Do you need to have your hand placement different? Are your shoulders tight? And do you generally have just soreness from maybe playing golf or tennis in your elbow? And if that's the case, might not be a good movement for you. But you have to make the adjustments. Everybody's very different with that. You want to feel as though you're pushing yourself away, and maybe you don't go as far down towards the floor, maybe you keep it shorter, but you want to feel the push coming from here and the support in your abdominals, most importantly. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Obviously, this all will make more sense than it would to me if I was standing in front of you, adjusting your body position. So here we are back to first one. Dumbbells are down between your knees. You're going to sit into it and then use your hips and get a little bit of motion. Remember, this is not a front raise. You're not lifting straight up in front of you. You're popping your hips forward, and that's what's bringing the dumbbells up. So it's a nonstop control and swing. Abs and hips, let them hang. Abs and hips, let them hang. 5, blow out, blow out, and 1. That's good. Where you may find an issue with something like that, and here's a correction on that one. Controlled drop and a stand. That's how you drop that motion back to get used to what you're supposed to be doing. It's a squat and a stand. Hips back, shoulders back, and a stand. Once you get the hang of it, yeah, you can add a little bit. Swing, swing, but every time you come up, it's hips, and that's what allows the dumbbell to swing. So this is all progressional. You get yourself strong enough to do a squat, make sure your posture's right, you have the core strength, you increase the resistance. Dumbbells go up in size as you get stronger and as you become more flexible. You don't just grab 10 more pounds because you feel like you had a good breakfast. You have to make sure you're managing it, or your body will be tortured when you're done. Makes no sense. Okay, here we are back to the push-up. Hands a little bit wider than your shoulders. It's a straight body position, or on your knees, and it's a slow drop. Almost 2 seconds. 1, 2, drive it out. Abs at the bottom, quick, right up. Don't lag at the bottom. Get your body right up. Same position it starts is the same position it ends. Straight. Okay, slow. Quick. Slow on the way down. Quick drive out of it. 2 more. Slow, quick. 1 more. Slow on the way down. Quick drive to come out of it. Okay? You want to make them harder, sit at the bottom. If you feel like you have that pretty easy and a push-up is not a problem for you, stay down there for a second. Slow, slow. Hold it, drive out of it. But you got to make sure that you're ready to push from the main muscles being used. All right. Little breather here, and we're going to go back to one more round of either a stable squat, okay, which is a little bit more of, can be a good strength movement, a good starter, something you can always go to if you don't want to do a swing one day. Here I am sitting straight down, I'm holding, and I'm coming up. My rear end is going back first, and that's ultimately what's starting the motion when I stand. My upper body should not get involved besides just staying with me. Squeeze your shoulder blades back and push. If I have the right flexibility in my hamstrings, I should feel this in my rear end when I'm sitting. Almost to the point where it's getting ready to grip and push out. So hold and then squeeze your rear end to push back up. Always kind of odd to talk about that, but that's what you want to think about. Okay? Tense from your trunk and push. It's not a knee movement going forward. It's a hip movement going back. Your knees are staying in the same place every repetition. Sit back. Knees should never drive forward. If that's the case, you're tight or it's too much weight. Sit, drive out. 2 more. Sit back, lean a little bit, squeeze your shoulder blades, drive out. 1 more. Squeeze back, drive out. Okay. So a couple different ways you can do those. There's a ramp up that you can take it to, or you can just add some more resistance and make it a little bit heavier. Stay pretty stable. If you like the idea of a swing, obviously that adds a lot of factors. You want to make sure that you feel good enough to do that. Your shoulders, your elbows, all that does not hurt. Your abs are strong enough to propel you up, and your legs and your knees are in good shape to be able to handle it. Okay? So here we are back to that push-up again. So now it's a straight body position. It's a controlled drop, quick, smooth, right up. Control it, right up. Repetitions on these are up to you. You want to do more of an endurance set and you want to see how many you can do, go for it. Get to the point where you struggle a little bit. And last 2. Ultimately, you want to know where your endurance is. That's why you want to control the motion. You want to know where your number is. How many can I do? Am I good with 8 clean? Can I do 10? Can I do 15? Am I pushing it at 15 and I feel like my body's starting to fall apart? That's a good test for you, because a month from now, you want to go back to that and figure out, how have I progressed? Have I gotten stronger? Is my core feeling better as I'm doing them? It's a good test for that. And as you see, when you do strength work, it doesn't always have to be nonstop. That's cardio. Sometimes boot camp type stuff can be strength and cardio. But when you do straight strength work, you want to give your body a little bit of a rest in between. There's no reason to hustle to the next thing. The way that I do movements, you will incorporate a lot of your body in every movement anyway. So it's pretty important to make sure that you're ready to go to the next one. All right, so again, if you have a dumbbell that's a decent weight, or you just want to double up a 5 into a 10, or you have a 15 or a 20, then you want to grab a hold of that. And this is now going to be a standing one leg row. So there's 2 ways you can do this. I can let my body do all the work and just go forward until I feel pretty balanced. And then I'm going to stay there and row it. Now that's a lot of balance work when I'm doing that, because I'm not just getting the strength pull, I'm wobbling. The other way you can do it is keep that back foot down. Lean into it, opposite hand on your knee, and stay there. Row. Strong row every time with a tight core, because there is no movement out of this. I'm not coming up, I'm staying down. Row every time. Shoulder blade retracts and pulls back like you're starting a lawnmower. Squeeze that shoulder blade backwards. Okay, stay there, same arm, the other way. Just lean forward into something. Hold here and row. Still a lot of work. I'm just supporting my lower back more. Okay, come out of that. Switch to the other side, remember? First way, get good balance, lean over, stay flat, row it, and down. That's pretty challenging. Other way, foot back, hand on knee, stay there. Strong row every time. Shoulder blade retracts, your body does not lift out of it. Squeeze. I want to feel everything come back towards my waist. 1, and that's good. Now I'm going to inch forward, hold on, and do a couple. These are all options. I'm not saying you have to do every version. 1 more. But there are your 3 different options. And there's more, but there's 3 levels of challenge. And obviously, you can work from 1 and boost yourself to the next level. Give yourself more body work when you're doing like that one-legged. There's a lot of things happening. My flexibility needs to be there. My strength needs to be there, and I'm going to wobble a lot. So maybe I don't do as much weight, but I challenge my whole body with that. So there's a different concept to each one of those, okay? All right, so the next one, you're going to stay a little bit of a distance away from the wall, or if you have a band, then I can attach it. I have a rack that I have mine attached to, and I'm staying a little bit of a distance from it. So here's my resistance. If it's too easy, I step further, and now it's pulling me back, and that's what I want, okay? So I want to be able to sit in a little bit of a starter stance, and all I'm going to do is step and come back. Now this knee doesn't go with me. This is your stable leg. That's why you want tension on this side. I want to push away and stand. Stay squatted down and come back. I'm constantly pushing my left leg away and opening it, making my outer thigh and my glute work. Okay, that's one version. Here's another one. Step and walk, step and walk, step as far across as you go, and then control back. That's that slingshot effect. Don't just let it pull you back. Make sure you're at a controlled distance where you know however far away you are, you can still manage yourself back, because that is work too. Okay, and back up. All right, switch to the other side. All right, so here's your stable version. Here, step. step. I'm pushing. Push that one leg away, but your one leg stays stable. This is here, and all I'm doing is kind of a ghost walk away, okay? Like a fake step, and bring it back. All right, stay here, squat down, and now let's take some steps. Walk, walk, control it. Every step you take across is the same control coming back. Step strong, however far out you want. These bands are really good to have at home. You can do a full workout on these if you really wanted to. Upper body, lower body, abs, and control it coming back. Same squatted position, and good. So keep in mind that squatted position is time under tension. Okay, I'm staying here the whole time. Quads are working, hamstrings are working, glutes are working, but now I'm making my glutes work harder and my legs work harder because I'm staying there. So there's little contractions going on in my legs. Doesn't mean I have to do a squat. I can stay here and still have to fire my legs. So it's all included in the workout. That's why I said you feel like you're going to get a full body workout when you're doing a lot of these things. Okay? All right. So going from that movement to something that requires you to power your lower body is a short jump squat. So you don't even have to leave the ground. You just want to act as if you're trying to do it quick. So here I am, short squat. Now, if I don't leave the ground, it's this. I'm almost coming up on my toes. So I'm starting by standing. I'm squatting down. That's my start position. And I'm propelling quick. Way up and down. Now, if I leave the ground, it's a short squat. Quick. Land. Stand. That's one repetition. Here's the starting point. Squat. Push out. Land. Stand. So you see I'm catching my resistance with my lower body. I'm starting it with my lower body and I'm ending it with my lower body. This is where I'm catching it, in my hips. You never want to jump and land on your knees. Hitting concrete, landing like that is putting pressure right down onto your knee joint. It's going to kill your knees. Use the bigger muscles. Start a little bit here, propel up, land here. I'm catching it here. Stand up. Okay? Those, after doing the step outs, could potentially put more endurance pressure on your legs. You'll wear down. Again, repetitions can be as little as 5, if that's okay, or you can do as many as 15. Get that burn in your legs. Make it feel like you're pushing your quads, your hamstrings, and your glutes through a little bit of an endurance workout. Okay? Keep in mind, all this stuff doesn't always have to be. Strength isn't always added weight or tension. It can be time under tension. It can be your body position that you're putting yourself in that's requiring strength to get you out of it. Okay? Somebody can push down on my shoulders and hold me down, and I have to stay here for a couple seconds, but get myself comfortably back up. That's a strength movement because I'm using all of my muscles. Hope this all makes sense. Okay, so let's go to an isolated movement for your bicep. So if you want to double up dumbbells or you want to grab a good resistance, you're going to stand on one leg, same arm that you're pulling with. I'm keeping my body upright, and I'm going to start by doing what's called a hammer curl. Thumbs forward and pull. So you're going to see that my elbow never comes forward. It's half of my arm that comes up. Here, my elbow stays where it is. Don't swing it. No reason to pull forward. That's going to be shoulder. Squeeze right here and come back down. Squeeze halfway and come back down. Now, put your back toe down. There's not as much balance. Squeeze, and now you stabilize your body more and get that real good bicep pull and back down. One more like that and come back down. Now I'm going to have you open your palm forward. Palm up and pull, same idea. There is no elbow coming forward. Now I'm stopping at the front of my thigh, okay? That will pull me over a little bit in front of my shoulder, but you can still squeeze your shoulder blade back. Arm hangs a little bit lower. That's just a little bit more work to get to here and back down. It's really a 3/4 pull. Pull and back down. Pull, and these are now, I'm starting to get the feeling I've done part the other way and part this way. Getting a little bit of fatigue in there. Pull and back down. Right before I get to the point of it either bothering my elbow or feeling like it's tensing my shoulder. Okay, so I'm starting here, thumb forward, and I'm pulling. 3/4 pull. Elbow does not come forward. Straighten your upper body. My foot is off the ground, so there's more balance. More requirement from my core to offset my lower back. Now I'll put my foot back down. Now I'm more stable, and now I have a little bit more stability to pull with. So now I don't have to think about my core as much, but it's still always a thought. One more, and that's good. Turn that hand up, palm is up towards the ceiling. It's in front of you a little bit on your leg, and now you're pulling. 3/4 and stretch, let it pull you back down. And let it pull you back down. I'm always trying to straighten up my shoulder blades back when I'm pulling. So it's never gonna hunch me forward. That weight, I should always be able to manage my body first. It's an important thing when it comes to strength. Manage what your body position is like when you're just holding it. And let's do 2 more of those. If I can't hold myself upright holding this dumbbell without doing anything, something's wrong. 1 more. And that's good. Put that back down. Okay. So let's go back to that step out. Okay. Which again, I've done these now the last couple of weeks with people with no band. If I'm in a low squatted position and I'm stepping out, I would do more of a walk. So I would walk low, stay low, do about 5 to 8 one way, stay low, and walk back. Stay there, and then do it again. If you're not using resistance, I would do that probably 3 different times back and forth across the room. You'll still get some endurance work in your legs. Not as much resistance on the outside, but you'll still feel it a little bit, and you feel like you're really covering this whole part of your body into your back and front of your legs. Okay, so here you are here. Now, if you're using the band, it's a quick push out, and it's a step back. Just away from center. Make sure there's enough tension. If there's not, then you're not going to feel a lot. This isn't really tight for me, but that's okay. I'm doing some repetitions, and then I'm going to walk it out. So now I'm staying low still, never came out of it, and now I'm walking. Controlled steps. Every step I take, now that the band gets tighter, this leg still has to stay where it is. This leg is still doing the work. Now I'm coming back. Slow. My knees are still staying straight ahead. They didn't buckle in. They're still staying open. A little bit of a bow leg. Push. Push apart. That's what ultimately will give you that outside leg glute work. And 1 more. Now I'm starting to feel some burning really in my glutes. That's what I want. And both sides are really working. And now when I go to the other leg, now I want to definitely come up. I want to give myself a little bit of a breather because I'm sitting back down in that position again. Okay? So sorry for the back turn here towards the camera, but now we're going to do this side. So now it's going to be push and back. Step out and back. You see this leg stay straight ahead. Okay? I'm just opening by opening up this side. And just 1 more. And that's good. Now I'm staying here, and now I'm going to find those steps. 1, come together. Now it's a struggle, and now I have to controllably come back. Nothing should fall out of place. It's the same position as if I'm doing it stable. Push, together. And slow. We got 2 more of those. 1. And again, I'm doing 3 steps. You want to do it further if you have a lighter band. This is a fairly tight band. That's giving me enough tension. This is the last one, but I'm still staying in that seated position. That's what's ultimately giving me my glutes some endurance work. And 1. That's good. All right. I'm going to step out of that. Let my legs kind of chill out for a second. Get some movement in there. Burning happens a little bit. Drinking a little bit of amino acids with water while I'm working out, which is good. Gives me a little bit of an energy, but it also gives my muscles something to work with. Some vitamins, minerals, the recovery that I'll need when I'm finished. It's important. Nutrition is a whole other aspect that, you know, feel free to come into the gym. We can talk about that when we're open again. What you're eating when you're doing all this stuff is extremely important. You can't just think an hour a day is going to change your body. I mean, I know a lot of fitness companies want to convince you of that, but there is nobody out there, which is why there's been 50 million ways that people have tried to do this since exercise has become big, and they keep coming out with new ideas because you're never going to nail down the answer. The answer is really up to you, how much you want to put into it, how much nutrition you want to sacrifice, you know, in your daily routine, because eating healthy, you know, requires a discipline. So please come in, we'll talk about it, get you set up on a program. All right, so now this is going to be either your jump or your stable power. So here's your short, and then you're going to act as if you're coming up, but I'm not leaving the ground. So my calves get involved a little bit more here in the like a calf raise. So I'm seated, I'm pushing up as if I'm trying to leave the ground, stand, and back to square one. Now, if I'm leaving the ground, it's that short squat, power up, land, stand. Remember, you're catching yourself in your hips. I'm starting with that. That's where it's coming from. My hips are quickly coming through and I'm landing and standing. So this is the moving version of that kettlebell swing. So now I'm doing that to strengthen myself for movements like this. Hold, out, land, stand. Okay? Short squat, up, land, stand up. Remember, I'm landing and catching myself with the big muscles. Don't catch it in your knees. Why do that when I have big muscles to do that with? It's just wear and tear. Short, push, land, stand up. Two more. Short, push out. All right, last one I'm going to do without jumping. Here it is. Short, propel up. Way up, sit back. That was a little bit much. I tried to go a little bit high, but that's okay. You lose your balance a little bit and come back down. So that gets you into the idea of coming off the ground. I know leaving ground sometimes, you know, if people have knee issues or back issues, might not be the most comfortable thing, could be a little jarring for your joints. That's okay. Always keep it on the shorter, less impactful side, and you can still get some power movement coming out of it. Okay? All right, let's go back to that row. All right, so remember you're adding. Now, what I didn't tell you before is bands are also very good for this. So if I'm attached to something, I can do the same thing. If I want to stay up on that one leg and pull, here's my standing row. If I want to go down, just like I did with the dumbbell before, here's my lean over row. And then if I want to lean on my rack, I can go forward and do that row. So bands can be pretty good for that as well. It's all tension. How much tension am I creating to get that drawback? Okay, dumbbells, have a little bit more freedom of movement. I'm not attached to anything, obviously. So I want to go down, and I'm going to stay now. So I showed you the 3 versions of that first time. I'm going to stay in this one and row it and let it controllably come down. Now, is it going to pull you a little bit? It is, but it's your job to stay here. Okay, it'll stretch you, and that's okay, but set it up again so that you know you're in a straight body position. Now, here's the added idea of being in this position where my leg is back from doing those step outs and those jump squats. My glute on my right side is feeling like I did something, and that's good. I hope you guys might get the sense of that too, because that's work. Your glute is being used for stability now. That's why you strengthen it doing other movements. I can endure this movement more, especially in this body position, if my legs are stronger. And row it, that's good. Switch it over. So coming out of that position actually feels good. Sitting into it, I'm getting a little bit of a glute burn. Okay, so now I'm switching sides. I'm here, and I'm rowing. True strength movements, you would want to go more towards the lower repetitions than the higher ones. Meaning, if you were doing this with a 5-pound dumbbell, you might be able to do this movement for 5 minutes and not stop. This is, I have a 30, and it's some resistance. I could go more and get 6 to 8 and really build a little bit more strength, challenge my muscle in a shorter period of time, which ultimately, if I eat right, I'll build more muscle, right? So if you're really interested in building muscle in your body, 2 more of these. You want to make sure that you're forcing your muscles into a greater amount of work in a shorter period of time. So you always hear the thought of toning versus building. I can assure you, and I hear this a lot from women, you're not going to get big from doing dumbbells or resistance work. If I had the formula for that, I'd be a trillionaire. You can get more muscular, but there's a lot of discipline to that. It has to be a very structured program, and you have to be eating very good to kind of form out your body. Chisel your muscles a little bit more. Make your muscles show up. Toning is nothing more than seeing muscle under your skin. You see somebody that's got toned arms, somebody that's got toned abs. Everybody says, I want that. That's quality eating and good resistance strength movements, okay? So if you want to build a little bit more and see some more muscle, stay on the lower side, get some more resistance. It's a little bit more challenging, and get to the point where you're doing about 6 to 10 of them, and that might be it. If you're going up to 15 or 20, don't expect to start building much muscle. Oh, you're kind of maintaining what you have. And maybe if your body's not used to doing that movement, maybe you're adding a little bit of muscle here and there. But the idea is to force more tension in a shorter period of time. Hopefully that's helpful. I try to explain as much as I can. Okay, so here's your bicep curl. So now we're going to do, unlike the first set, if you wanted to do this one leg back, you can do that if you want to balance a little bit. You can also stand in a stable position. And now remember that thumb forward. I can go here and down, but I'm not swinging it. I'm pulling and I'm controlling. Where are you running the problems with these, especially people that want to start acting like, you know, they can curl the world? You start doing a lot of this, and that's makes no sense. You want to know that it's coming directly from here. Squeeze and pull and stretch down. I'm managing that movement now. I know that I'm doing that because I'm watching what's happening to the rest of my body. I'm not contorting myself to come up. Okay, I'm sitting a little bit and I'm pulling. Okay, now let's switch it to a palm up. Remember, the dumbbell sits in front of your leg now. So you will be pulled forward, but I want to squeeze my shoulder back. Pull and let it stretch. Pull and let it hang. I don't have to come all the way up to here. It's a 3/4 pull. That's more tension in your arm. much more isolated, and you're going to get to the point where your bicep is feeling it in a shorter period of time. 2, and the last thing, don't curl your wrist. Don't let your wrist pull it. Keep your wrist flat and let that arm pull it up. That's a really important thing. Once this starts to happen, your wrists are going to kill you, and it's going to go into your elbow first. Okay, for all you golfers and tennis players, the last thing you want is to have any kind of pain in your elbow, because you need those more than anything. All right, so here it is. Thumbs forward, pull. Remember, like the first time, you can do more of a balance movement if you want. Stay on one leg, but you got to be thoughtful about your core and your posture. Abs are going to be challenged more in this position. Toe down, not as much, but still unbalanced a little bit. So I'm still worried about staying straight. Pull, and then I'm going back to my stable position like the first leg. Pull, and down. Just one more like that, and down. Now I'm going palm up. Wrist is still in line. Doesn't curl. Stays straight and pulls with my bicep. I want to feel it in my arm first. Your forearm is going to be used for support, but you should not necessarily feel it directly in your forearm. I want to feel this in the top part of my arm. That bicep should feel like it's being used. I want to start to burn a little bit, and that's that acid buildup that happens when your muscles contract and you're challenging them. That's an endurance level that everybody has to get to and try to fight through. 2, but at least you know if that's burning directly in that area, that contraction is a good one. Okay, that's good. Put that down. Ooh, all right. So at this point, I mean, you should pretty much feel that a lot of things in your body have been utilized. My posture is constantly pulling back a little bit, so my shoulders are really being used. My core, every time I pull something or push out or do something from a movement standpoint, my core should be tight. All right, so everything really has been utilized to this point, and then you can start to isolate and do different things in different positions to really specify. Okay, so now we're going to do a shoulder movement, and you have a couple different areas of your shoulders that are important when you're doing isolated work. So the one that really makes a difference is the rear part of your shoulder. So your lats, when people do rows and pull-ups, that's not what is ultimately adjusting your posture. It's really the rear part of your shoulder. So here's what I'm going to do. I can do this in a couple different ways. I can do a little bit of a split stance and lean forward. Now in that position, I'm either holding onto a rack or something, a couch, or I'm putting my hand here. And then I'm coming straight up and coming back down. So I want my arm to pin straight out to the outside, palm down. So it's going out and down, okay? So I'm gonna sit back into it a little bit, lean, and I'm gonna come out and down. I'm trying to flatten my arm without lifting. I'm not coming out of it this way. Without lifting my body up, my arm is pushing out, okay? Now that's one way you can do it. Another way, which puts more stress on your back, but now you guys should know, it's core, it's posture, push out. So now my body leaned forward is putting pressure on my lower back unless I'm supporting it with my abs, which I am. Okay, so if this starts to feel too heavy or your back starts to feel a little bit, just come up, shake them out for a second, and then set that position up again. So you could say I'm doing 3 in a row. Here it is, 3. There's going to be an endurance factor for my back. Don't go too high either. 3, and I'm standing. Takes a little bit of pressure off my back, and I'm breaking the setup down. Here, 3. Okay, so you're doing it in, say, 4 increments. That would be 12 reps. Okay, that's good. Relax. All right, so that's the rear part of your shoulder. So now the side part of your shoulder, which helps you control your posture, is going to be a thumbs out approach. So the dumbbell sits against the side of my legs. I'm bending a little bit and I'm pushing these straight up. Okay? You see what I mean with these, right? So this is a thumbs out. It's not here, it's turned out, and then it's going up till the head of the dumbbell is up towards the ceiling. Flat and down. No change in that when you're going up. Don't come up and rotate these around, because now it involves the joint and you're rotating your shoulder in there. That can cause some issues if you're not loose. Okay? People run into problems with shoulder stuff. Like something called impingement, which a lot of golfers and tennis players have a tendency to deal with at some point, because if your shoulders are stiff, the spacing in your shoulder becomes squeezed, and you don't have the movement that I may have right here, or you guys may have, to be able to do this. So you'll have people do this because they don't really have the flexibility to come up and under. I mean, in a perfect world, our joints should move pretty freely, but as we get older, guess what, folks? There's no perfect world. We're getting older and things get worn down. So you have to make the appropriate adjustments. And that's why it's important at some point for me to see the people I'm working with, because I want to see what their body's doing when I'm showing them movements. And obviously at some point, if they can't handle a movement, we will not do it until you're ready for it. Maybe you need to get more flexible or strong before we do something like that. Not every movement that you see in a gym or on a Zoom or on the internet, not every movement is built for you. I hate to say there's a lot of bad stuff out there on the internet and in classes. People just show because it's part of the class. And it's an odd concept, because they're basically saying everybody should do this, but that's not always the case. You might not have the flexibility or the medical history to be doing something like that. So just keep that in mind. That's pretty important. Everybody should be a little bit independent and different when they're in the gym. Everybody should be doing what's appropriate for them. All right. So let's get back to the bicep movement, and let's do one more of those. So that is, again, a little bit wider than your shoulders, or just even with your shoulders, and it's thumbs forward. So it's that curl and down, pull and down, nice and controlled on the stretch, and down. And again, if I put my fingers on the front of my arm, I should feel that muscle come out a little bit. I want to feel it almost like a little bit of a rounded bump that pops out. Nothing wrong with feeling that when you're doing different movements. You're assured something's happening in there, okay? Because sometimes nothing's happening. You know, sometimes people are swinging, or they're just not understanding what they're supposed to be doing, or the muscle's just not formed the right way, and you need to work on it. But again, ultimately, you want to be able to feel something happening there. Now, after that shoulder movement, I can definitely start to feel, which again is another concept. The more you do other muscle groups, the more they tie in, and that's good. The more they tie in with each other as your workout goes on. That's why exercise is really 45 minutes to an hour to maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Don't think you need to spend 2 hours in the gym. It's just absolutely silly. All right, thumb forward and down. You got a group of movements that you can do, especially if you're training SMART, which is extremely important. So much more important than going in and just doing wild movements. You need to know what the heck you're doing and why you're doing it. And you need to know that it's for you, and that it's safe and effective. Because why are you spending all the time to do that? That's good. Palm up. Why would you waste the effort in the gym or at home if it's not built for you? Keep in mind, this stuff people end up in physical therapy because of doing bad stuff in the gym. And what sense does that make? Puts a halt on your program and your goals and your time frame to get where you want to get to. Makes no sense. 2 more. we are going to finish up with that shoulder movement, or both shoulder movements, which is lean forward. So again, just like I showed you with the squat, it's lean and over, and then I'm here. I'm not moving anything except for my arms. My legs don't move, and I'll stay with that 3 in a row look. So it's 3, and then I'm standing. Give my legs and my back a little bit of a rest because they've already been used for almost an hour. Lean, pull. So I'm really trying to feel something right behind my shoulder. And if you do these really correct, you'll feel an isolated burn right behind your shoulders. Lift and down. Pull. You see no movement from my body, whether it be leg or shoulders. I'm squatting and I'm leaning and I'm here. No moving out of it. My shoulders don't slump and I don't lift up as if I'm standing. I'm staying forward and down. And again, maybe somebody's comfortable here. Just don't come up as high. That's okay. The better flexibility you have, the more you can go towards the floor. If I really want to come over and my back can handle it, boy, that's the best position to be in to get that muscle as far over as possible. Okay? But don't think you have to get there. All right, so now you're bent a little bit, and now we're thumbs out, and we're straight up. So you're really trying to pin your arms out as if the resistance is really ending up back here on my shoulder. But the further I stretch my arms out and away from my body, the more tension will end up in my shoulders. Could be your neck, and that's a factor you got to keep in mind. Don't go that high and straighten your shoulders back. Okay? Don't lift from here. We always have a lot of tension in our neck to begin with. Keep it controlled and don't try to do a lot of weight with these. This is a lower weight, higher repetition movement. Okay? And the other idea is once weight goes away from your body, the resistance is always going to end up back here. Your core has to stay tight or it's going to go to your lower back. Your back will start to feel like it's not that strong after repetitions of these. Now I'm starting to burn a little bit, so I'll manage, straighten up, 2 and 1 more. Because now I will start to feel that going into my neck a little bit if I do too many. Okay, that's good. All right, I hope that was a workout. I hope you got something out of it. It looks like the club is going to be opening. I think the gym might be coming back maybe by the 15th of July.